And what's going on, everybody? Gustav the 13th here with another video covering the latest clan suit that we finally got over on GS3, the Desert Zaku. So, a different variant from a different era. This is a ground-specific suit with 2 priority at 400 costs as a general. Checking out the stats and weapons here. So for weapons, we're talking about a new Desert Zaku rocket launcher, while also being able to run the giant bazooka with cloth. So obviously a little bit less power here, also 1 more ammo and slightly longer range. The cooldown is actually, I think, one of the faster things in the list, outside of just rocking the beam rifle, and also, as a trade-off, having a higher reload time. Which actually, funny enough, makes it the slowest thing reload-wise on this list. Although it is very interesting that it can also run the Kill Cube beam rifle at all. Interesting if you want to just do like a very, very tough midline kind of situation while still having a stun on the charge. But overall, this is probably one of the better cases just because the cooldown is, like I said, faster and you do have some more shots. And to be honest, looking at this, with the amount of melee strength and the way that the multiplier for the downswing works on this tomahawk, which is also an instant knockdown, by the way, you're probably just going to be setting up stuns for yourself or other people so that you can also come in for the scoop. And yes, you heard me right, that is a scoop. It's not a Scooty suit, but it does do the scoop in its own way, and it's pretty funny, but it's also really cool. So, going down the sub-weapons, we have the Vulcans, late models in the noggin. Also have the missile pod, which actually has a fair amount of ammo this time. I'm talking 12 shots, all at 150 power with a range of 300 and a reload of 10. The rocket hand grenade, which is of course a guided one that you get to chuck. 2 of those for 2,000 in terms of power and a range of 350 as well. And then we have an interesting one here, the 120mm upgraded machine gun, 30 ammo capacity with a power of 120 and a range of 175. It is a stubby, but it also is a shortened one, so it kind of makes sense physically. A little bit of a shame considering that you also have these, and the Vulcans actually aren't that bad on this thing either. But a fair amount of sub-weapons, which of course, unfortunately, translates to our stats here in terms of output. So we're talking 400 costs at 16k health, ballistic resistance is 17, beam resistance is 10, melee resistance is 15, range strength is 10. There it is. Barely in the double digits here. Not super worth trying to bump up either, but much like the other Desert Zaku, it has a similar kind of spread with that going on because you have so many things to throw out at people. I still kind of don't really gel with that mentality, but it is what it is. They're not going to change it at this point. But unlike the Desert Zaku that we have at lower cost, the melee strength being at 30 actually serves a purpose considering what we were talking about for the tomahawk that it has. Also, going down the rest of the list here, we have movement speed at 130, top speed is 185, thruster gauge is 60, and turning speed is 60. So not the fastest thing on 2 legs, but it's serviceable. Going down the parts slots, we have close range at 12, medium range at 13, and once again, long range at 5. Kind of lopping any options you have to try to bump that up too much. Honestly, you should probably put some of that towards defensive stuff anyway, or maybe even... well, not maybe reloaders. I don't think that really factors in too much. But in general, it's probably going to go to other things other than range. Going down to skills then, we have Leg Shock Absorber level 2, Quick Boost level 2, Emergency Evasion System level 1, High Performance Balancer level 1, Offense System, which is pretty cool, I like that. Optimized Cooling Efficiency level 1, Anti-Jamming level 1, Special Right Shoulder Armor Buffer level 2, and Special Back Add-on Buffer level 1. And when we get to look at the what is considered the back buffer, it's actually kind of funny. But overall, not a crazy skill set. The bigger thing here is just the wide breadth of weapons while also having a pretty potent melee option. Very stumpy though, kind of gotta watch yourself a little bit. This thing is definitely gonna be something that you're gonna constantly be advancing with. Especially considering the fact that the MG is kind of stuffy. You can get some decent shots in with this, and the missile pod can stun after a certain point, but it's gonna take a second. Everything else is a little bit shorter outside of the 300 range and the 350 on those. And this, because you have to throw it up before it actually starts to track, does mean that you have a little bit of dead air between those spots. So you're mostly going to be leaning on this and maybe trying to set up with other people. Like someone said before, unironically, this is pretty much a very good team suit. So let us take another gander at the enhancement list before we move on here. Talking complex expansion slot right out of the gate at 380. Propellant tank level 1 at 760. Anti-ballistic armor enhancement level 1 at 1010. ADFCS, which is 1 range modifier, just a wee point at 1270. And then when we talk about unlocking, because unfortunately this is a silver suit, emergency sorting level 1, so you lop off a second on your respawn time, and plus 4 to range modifier at the very end, which seems kind of like a weird middle finger, to be honest. But hey, you know, a little bit of extra free range considering the junk on this. You take it where you can get it, right? Alright, but let's take a look at this bad boy and practice real quick before we check out a match in this. Alrighty. I don't know why I did that, but... So you can see right out of the gate, when we're talking about the back buffer, we're actually talking about extra fuel stuff in the back, which is hilarious considering how little boost you actually have on this fucking thing. But it is a heavily modified Desert Zaku, so I guess what do you want, right? So that's actually what counts for that. Although the one on the bottom actually seems like it's like barely stuck into anything and like just clipped it through the vents more or less. They literally just cut out spots and then put connectors, which is funny. But not a lot of crazy damage, as you can see, coming from a lot of the ranged weapons. The machine gun actually stuns pretty quickly though. And as we look over at the Vulcans, takes some doing. May or may not have done that out of the stun. Let me try one more time, because I'm pretty sure those... Do these not stun? I thought they did. Oh lord, they don't. Okay, so keep an eye out for that. The missiles, thankfully, are pretty fast in terms of stun, as long as you can actually get them on target, because their traversal rate... Not super fast. Unfortunately, they kind of carry that from other older missiles on lower cost suits. The grenade's still working the way it does, snaking around and then homing in on your cursor. And of course, the big one, fuck. Not crazy damage on the neutral. Unfortunately, the cooldown, even if you do roll tackles, not really fast enough to get in a scoop or another neutral with this. So you're definitely going to be hunting for downswings off of people, or maybe just leading in with that if you know that they're heavy staggered. Let's try to get a chunk on this. This is a support, but you're talking 45-40 baseline on a type disadvantage suit. Like, that's pretty disgusting. Not to mention, you do have a fair amount of stuff to follow up with this, but again, because you don't have a lot of ranged output, it is going to be a bit of a rough bid. Definitely going to want to fight with this suit, mostly in the midst of some of your friends. You can't really do a lot of solo dolo, just because you're going to be falling short in a lot of cases against neutral and disadvantaged suits. That being said, though, let's just get a raw bad boy on here. 68-13 on a proto. That's disgusting. I mean, keep in mind that a lot of these don't really have anything on them, and this is probably not really what you're going to be running into at this cost, outside of 1 or 2 people who are particularly rabid with this suit, but that's nasty. Not bad at all. In general, though, not a really crazy boost gauge. Decent movement speed, but not anything to write home about. Everything about this suit, outside of the big swing, as you would expect, is kind of average, but it is versatile. Something that we definitely are seeing more of at this cost range, which is nice. Once we actually have a couple more top 100s under our belts before they switch suits, these will probably be a lot more common at this cost. I wouldn't really doubt that too much. Unfortunately, as you're going to see, because this does have really low range mod, it is not really a great base buster once again, despite having so many weapons and sub-weapons on it. You could argue that maybe, considering that you have so much stuff to kind of chunk and cycle through, that you might want to use the BR, and in some cases you'd probably be right. Especially considering the fact that you're either going to be setting up a downswing, you know, a knockdown for someone else to follow up on, or hunting for someone that's already been either heavy staggered or downswung in order to get one of these bad boys in there, you know? So I wouldn't completely write that off, although in general, rocking one of the bazookas is going to be your safer bet. I'm never going to really rail against that notion at all, so... But yeah, in general, not super crazy. You're probably going to be fending off people that are trying to stop the base bus more so than doing it yourself or just planning. But that is the general run of this suit. Despite it being a clan suit, and actually not a bad one, it kind of wears all of its stuff on its sleeve. I also do find it a little bit funny the way that this actually does it. Because it's not a Scooty suit, it does not have a very big advance in terms of its downswing. It does advance a little bit, but it's more like an old man shovel. Like, let me get in, and then you just get up in there and give him the business. Funny, but not very reliable in terms of getting you across somewhere. I wouldn't really worry about that too much. So you're pretty much going to be hugging on people regardless in order to get some of this stuff in there anyway. So, you know, in that respect, it is what it is. But overall, I actually do like this suit. I will say there are some situations in the match that we have here, you'll definitely see bigger maps, especially like military base and whatnot. A little bit of a rough bid for this thing just because it does have range, but it's not very long range. There's only one or two things that are, you know, 300 plus in terms of reach, and some of them, like this, are a little bit slow to get going and can also be a little bit finicky depending on how you actually angle them and where people are by the time it reaches them because of traversal speed. So overall, you're definitely still going to be hunting for the big damage, leading in and just kind of melding in with your people and doing what you can as a unit, which you should be doing in this game anyway all the time. But, you know, sometimes people just like to go full solo dolo and hope to see what they can do. Definitely a suit that's going to teach you to do otherwise unless you're particularly amped up that day. But we do, like I said, have a match to kind of see this thing running around outside of the practice yard, and we will be showing that off right about here.
All units, prepare for battle. Mobile suit team, move out.
Alrighty. Well, last round for Gus here.
Commencing operation.
Let's see what we can do. In there. There's one dude chilling there. What is that though? He's trying to hide his charge. Is that a Gaza?
Beacon captured.
Nah. I was gonna try to curve it around that bit. Oh, it is a Gaza.
Allied unit destroyed.
Yes.
Unit down. Well done. Allied unit destroyed.
Not quite the target you were probably hoping for, but that's okay. These other guys just kept trying to go around the loop like no one else stopped, which is kind of stupid.
Find your blind spots. The enemy has captured a beacon. Your radar is being jammed. You're taking some light damage.
Oh my god.
An ally has destroyed an enemy mobile suit.
This is actually an MBR, huh? I was like, what did that hit? And it's just him shooting something at me. Oh my god.
You all right? Your radar.
Why did no one catch your E, by the way? Like, why are we just running around this like they're not gonna spawn on us?
That mobile suit won't last much longer. Bomb planted in
Oh my god, it still actually had some radius on him.
An ally has destroyed an enemy mobile suit.
Brush. That other guy just fucked off. Okay.
Where and how will you redeploy? An
Oh
ally
god.
has destroyed an enemy mobile suit.
They're trying to just do a stand from C.
Get out there and try again. Allied unit destroyed.
That is not gonna work. And they're doing an early bomb for some reason.
Ally has destroyed an enemy mobile suit. Target confirmed. Allied unit destroyed. Long-range supporting fire incoming.
He's in a tank? Why?
Supporting
Where are you
fire.
going, my guy?
The supporting fire missed the enemy. Allied unit destroyed. Nice. We flew that base sky high. Allied unit destroyed. Enemy unit
I
down.
know.
Well done. Your radar is being jammed. Enemy unit down.
There you go.
Well done.
Even the fucking neutral bonks.
The enemy has captured a beacon. You've taken some light damage. Supporting fire incoming. Clear the area. Long-range supporting fire incoming. Allied unit destroyed. Supporting fire complete. The supporting fire missed the enemy.
Almost 6k on that guy.
Allied unit destroyed. You're taking heavy damage, pilot. You alright? That mobile suit won't last much longer. Allied unit destroyed. Your unit's been destroyed.
Of course, he got the roll on it. He's getting nailed, but they're just holed up there.
Looks like things are going our way. Get out there and try again.
That early bomb might actually fuck us a little bit, because if we were gonna sit here, we could have just
Destroyed. Your radar is being jammed.
worked on that later.
Destroyed an enemy mobile suit. You've taken some
No, you fuckers! Nah, let me do it. How dare you? How dare you save your friends and care?
An ally has destroyed an enemy mobile suit.
Ooh, shield hit. God damn it, dude.
Destroyed.
I have a really bad feeling these guys are gonna try to coast backwards and just get bodied.
Bases are more valuable.
Because they are not trying to take out any of these lows. They're just letting them sit on that roof.
Supporting fire incoming. Get out there and try again. An ally has destroyed an enemy mobile suit.
Ugh. Oh, anything that can't like immediately roll has got it so rough under this thing.
Well done.
Let me do it.
Unit destroyed. Your radar is being jammed. 1 minute left. Bring that victory home. Allied
Ooh boy.
Long-range
Just a
supporting
couple
fire
more of them.
incoming.
That might clip one of them, but
Supporting
not
fire
not a
Allied
finisher.
unit destroyed.
2 got away.
An ally has destroyed an enemy mobile suit. Get
3's
out
propped
there,
up, and that barrage is probably just
Your
in
radar is
in between. Oh my god.
Well done, everyone. You earned this victory.
The fact that that was top damage while it was still that low is pretty absurd. That was a really slow paced match then. Still, some of the damage that we were doing with the axe when we actually got people lined up was insane. If anything, towards that last guy, we probably should have just did a neutral to set him up for the Pixie too, because he was already going to be in there and just mushing everybody else out. But yeah, at least you got a couple rounds in there. That's definitely a good one for 400. If I don't want to do Stussy all the time, I could mess around with that too.
Good work out there.
That's a good one. Okay, and that was our match in the Desert Zaku. A couple so-so matches before that, before we got our bearings a little bit more, and even then, because this is having to run deep with a lot of pretty aggressive suits at 400s, 400s definitely become a lot more congested and a lot more fast-paced than it used to be. It's kind of has a hard time staying in there without absolutely getting like schmixed and just pushed around by other people, especially with the varying ranges on its weapons. In order to be in an effective range, you have to be around 200 or under 200 in terms of meterage, just because of how stumpy some of the stuff on it is. But you can also just kind of hit on the outside, do some trick shots with your grenades, and hopefully, you know, make it all work out for you. Overall, though, I do like this suit. I do hope that we see more of them in the future, because I feel like if you have a fair amount of these running around on a team, even just a pair of them harassing the raid, they're gonna be fucking miserable. It's not gonna be fun for them. And keep in mind that this damage here versus the damage that we were doing in there is not only with the enemy raids having more armor on them, but also with me having slightly more melee on me at that point. So it might come out to around the same, it might be a little bit less depending on what you're trying to buck up against, you know. Things may vary, but in general, very potent to just have this. It's a little bit weird to see this not be a sub-weapon, but to be honest, it's already pretty gross on its own, and the fact that they let you instant knockdown means that you're pretty safe once you get in there and just do what you gotta do. You can legitimately just start bonking people, move on to the next one, and then just let your team handle it while they're on the floor writhing like, what the fuck just happened, you know? So overall, hopefully the next suit that we get in clan matches is something similar. I feel like a lot of the ones that are good are kind of middling, but to be honest, I'm kind of okay with that. Outside of them making some of the banner suits particularly busted, outside of some of the middling stuff that we've been getting in AOZ, this is a good pattern. I feel like it's useful enough while not being completely ass like some of the older suits that we've gotten in the past that had to be bumped up and changed a lot. And it doesn't really feel too busted, so hopefully they can keep up the pace with that. The other thing that happened recently was that we also got the Jim Spartan BD, which is another clan suit in ranked, so you're definitely going to be seeing a lot of those running around at this cost as well, for better or worse. And to be honest, this suit might actually be not a complete counter, but a pretty hard contender for keeping those in line, especially since once they start to close in with their own mid to close stuff to try to set up the stun, especially with that stumpy knife that they have running around with, you can probably catch them with your stun threshold stuff between your missiles and your MG and stuff, and then just start bonking them before they can even whip that blade out. Overall, solid suit. Definitely want to see more. But that'll be all for my ramblings for today. This is the Desert Zaku from Clan Matches, and until next time, this is Gustav the 13th. I'll talk to y'all next time.